Yeah, especially you mentioned the fact that they didn't necessarily have the best CT side in the world. Well, luckily for them, choose your map, and then normally the opponent will pick the CT side for you. So they get the start they want. It's looking like we're about to have a bit of a battle, though. As straight into the apartments go the CT side already. An early trade coming in. But for the T's, it's not really too bad. The only real issue is they've taken banana control, but they've forgotten one pretty important component.
The explosives. They have not picked them up, but they've lost 2 players in amongst all of that, and a HE on top of Boo. So the 2 of them are now moving together up towards top of banana, but there is a smoke in their eyes. And the smoke's also in an awkward position where if they push out, they know they're going to be second best in terms of vision. So they have to wait for this. Now they'll have to be worried as well that they're getting wrapped around. There's going to be a rotational element coming into the forefront. They have no utility of their own to bust onto the site with, so they can't deal with the CT side. They need kills, and they need them quickly. They have at least punctured their way through. The first element of this is Wiz goes in and misses so many bullets. Not like this, Wiz. If he dies now and they lose this round, it's going to be an absolute disaster for Wiz, but he's finally made amends. He's dropped the bomb down, and now Boo's in a 1-on-3, and Wiz can somewhat breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah, definitely not the way they were hoping for this round to go, but if they get the result, I don't think they're going to mind too much. And Boo, 30 seconds, 27 HP. There's no chance here. Like, they would have to make probably one of the worst errors I've ever seen in Counter-Strike, and Hext is not going to allow for that. 1-0, RBG get off to a decent start, and well, I think they're going to be happy with that going into their CT half, at least getting that little bit of a bonus. Although it looks like there's going to be no foot taken off the gas, as High Coast are going straight in with another purchase. It's only going to be pistols, but evidently they think they can break this one back.
Yeah, this is an interesting one that you don't typically see. Normally it's after the first round post plant, which never came up. So you don't have the Galils, you don't have the MAC-10s, it's down to pistols, but clearly they feel that RBG are ripe for the taking, and they want to get that economy stabilized as soon as possible, try and bring the CTs back down to earth. Now, as a result of not going and dipping in for any SMGs, they have a ton of utility. They actually have more utility than the CTs have at their disposal. So they can fake, they can get a full, decent execute in position, but this HE could shred them before they even get close. If Walco pulls the pin out and tosses it towards there, could be huge. Now he throws it a bit shallower, still deals damage onto Motten, but slows them down for the incendiary. That being said, on the run and gun, Pone alone takes the head off of Chop, and although Wiz sprays all the bullets down, he has to reload, but he doesn't get punished. RCF uncharacteristically misses out his chance, and even though there's a plant come into effect and a kill from Pone alone again, the HP and the firepower should, in theory, favor RBG.
Oh, Ben's managed to find one, though, and actually Pone alone's found another. He's got so many kills in this round, it's actually starting to get ridiculous. Looking for the ace with the Tech 9. I told you the gun's back, Vince. I was mentioning it before. Why are you buying a CZ when you can have the trusty Tech?
Bruh, Tom, Pone, sick round, dude. Like, that's a phenomenal effort, but come on, RBG, what are you doing? There were so many moments where that round should have been put to bed. So many 1v1, 1v2 situations they put themselves into, and yes, Pone alone's picked up an ace, and it's a great effort from him, but I just can't help but feel that RBG have taken a double-barreled shotgun to their own feet for no reason at all.
They're going to try and now, I guess, pick up the pieces. That sounds weird with what you've just said, but this little piggy, they're going to try and sew it back on. It's going to be with some deagles. Okay, Boo's actually not going to check the close angle. This has definitely been an odd start to the match, but there is a trade, and Chop, this is a pretty bold position to try and play from. He's instead just going to retrieve the SMG, but at the same time, there will be a retreat. An aggressive stance taken as well from Wolf. While seems like he's just locked in, fully focused. They're going to bypass him, just go straight on towards Hex, but I imagine he's going to turn around. No, seemingly very confident, and well, by that point, they've already taken apartments control.
Oh, nice shot, splattering. RCF goes in for a second. It's, to be honest, labored from both players, and Ben nearly played the ultimate price by going down. The smoke is good. It's going to fend off the remaining CTs. They have a FAMAS and Mac 10 between the two of them with a D-Eagle. That grenade nearly shredding Wiz. Onto the wrong side of the library wall. Second smoke now replenished to fend off more vision. And at this point, RBG, with only one kit and only one smoke between the two of them, realized that maybe saving these guns is just a better idea. They did also get their hands on a Deagle or two, so they can actually drop them across to their teammates and come out in the next round with a decent buy. But High Coast, after losing the pistol, stealing away that second round, but more importantly, securing the third, and now they have the advantage.
I feel like I want to have Ben as a teammate. Like, it seems so happy in every single situation, even in like the matches we saw yesterday where they were getting railed. But he still had a smile on his face. I think I need that sort of positivity in my life. Instead, I'm hanging out with you, Vince.
No, I feel it. I definitely agree. He's always got a smile, whereas I'd just be tilted, perma-tilted, even for winning 16-0. Something's annoyed me, so... We have Julies on the server, though. I'm interested in RCF picking these up.
Yeah, it does somewhat stick out like a sore thumb, you know, with some of his teammates having $3,800, but I guess it's the biggest flex you can get. Maybe R8 kills, like when JW was doing that, or sawn-off kills when also JW... basically anything JW does. Or snacks. Occasionally. Although it's been a while, that's for sure. Now, they've pushed and taken a lot of ground, but they have left the bomb behind, however. Chop. Removed completely. Now, there'll be nothing that disappoints me more than if we don't see RCF going on the hunt here. But he may not get a chance, because Pwn alone is just going to farm up those remaining frags. RCF's Julies will achieve absolutely nothing. But I do wonder, is he going to have... Has he kept them? Is he going for an AWP dual Beretta combo? That sounds as deadly as it gets. Or rubbish. Your choice.
Yeah, surely he keeps the Julies and doesn't trade out to a Glock. So you might still get your wish after all, Tom. Still the MP9, so a bit of a bonus round coming into play here. Obviously, RCF is down low economy, but everyone else will be flourishing. RBG, have a buy, but you can see a lack of utility on Wiz, on Wolfie. There's no kit. There's a FAMAS in play, so yes, they've got a buy, but certainly not all of the helpings that they would be hoping for.
I feel like they're going to want to break back early as well. We saw the momentum that High Coast were able to build up. It started getting out of control with some of the plays that Modern was able to make towards the end of the half on the CT side. I don't think that will change if they start getting things rolling. Nade will do an extra little bit of damage. And actually, after initially giving up control, they've gone back to fight for it. Walco is going to be the sort of switch off the bait. And actually, he gets 2 for his troubles. The Julies are going to come out, Vince. And Walco's going to get decked. And look at the position of Ben. This is so smart. He's just been almost baiting on the other side of the map. A free kill on the first. Can he get away before the second player peeks him? He can. The only trouble is, do they now expect the other direction? They do. They were looking towards Banana. It won't matter. RCF pulls his AWP back out. And High Coast, they managed to get through the round.
And you got your wish, Tom. The Julies were in action. The drive-by, the running gun.
Let's go. Yes. Action replay as well. All I need in my day. It's not quite like a Keto ace, or I think, who else? Nafani got an ace as well, didn't he, with the dual Berettas?
It was also an Inferno, as Banana, wasn't it?
Yep.
Or was that Keto? Top of
both,
Banana.
I think.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was both of them. Well, Keto's ended, I think, towards apartments, because he was like, I'm taking this ace, and ended running all the way down. But yeah, Nafani's was definitely top Banana. So clearly this is the dual Beretta map. That's what we've just learned. And I will not hear anything arguing anything else.
The stats don't lie, Tom. Meanwhile, Ben going in, down to USPs and a wide variety of pistols. Wiz, negligible damage, but Wolfie does come out and finish off Ben. And there was no counteractive frag. We heard the AWP ring out, but it didn't take anyone with it. So that's a bit of a hit and run. that RBG have picked up. Now, they couldn't get their hands on the weapon. They want to smoke out so they can try and afford this. Out come the dual Berettas again, but it won't deny the Galil. It has been picked up by Wiz, and RBG in a pretty good position now.
Yeah, they haven't really been forced to give up any of the ground, and they do still have smokes available to them. In fact, the second one going down in mid, and the T's evidently don't really want to take too much of a risk of pushing through this. Oh, it's unfortunate, though. You'd think after the second smoke, that would be enough to deter. Molotov, their own Molotov, in fact, actually going to hold them back. They wanted to clear these closer angles, and they've delayed themselves further. Still a man on the site in the form of Chop, and Wolfie as well, trying to deny them as long as possible. They're running out of time here. A Deagle kill or two could be enough to completely ruin this round, but it really does rely on Hex to try and get something here. Seconds left on the clock, and Pone alone will ruin his day.
That's brutal. As you said, just one extra kill, and it could have completely shifted the tide of this round. RCF is waiting. Volko does have Kevlar behind that P250, which would be well suited for the next round, but the round loss is starting to accrue nicely now for the CTs. So they could afford to throw away a couple of these guns on their endeavors to upgrading to a couple of these AKs. Wiz has got his hands on one now. That's definitely not something you want to throw away. Yes, he can get an AWP into the next round, but he can drop that to one of his teammates. Oh, Dual Beretta one tap to the back of Volko's head. Get sacked.
This is another one of those scenarios where I'm watching someone do something and then I'll try it and realize that it doesn't work. And it's just that they have some sort of like random BS that I can't ever pull off. Here we go.
Got him.
Can we just watch that for the rest of the match? I just want to watch this over and over again. We need some super slow-mo as well.
Yeah, RCF, he needs to get Wolfie's shades, you know, just whack them on after a shot like that. And then not.
Yeah, but
lose
he'd
the
never
map,
be able to
preferably,
take
of
them
course.
off. It'd take too long. Especially after the first map. If you're going to 30 bomb the map, you're going to have to keep taking the glasses on and off again. It becomes tedious.
Just keep them on then.
He'll need the digital vibrance we saw yesterday.
From Viz, yeah. Nice early nade damage, though, into the here and now in round 7. Boo and Motum have both taken their fair chunk of shrapnel. RCF, though, oh, I thought he'd actually team killed Motum for a second. But fortunately for him, Motum tanked the bullet. Unfortunately for High Coast, they've lost 3 players in the blink of an eye. 2v5, Boo is still low. And a lot of this will have to rest on Pone alone. Now, he's had one hell of a start to this. 11 frags. 5 of them, though, should be mentioned, were off that Tech 9 ace, and he's on 1 HP as a result of a HE that landed right next to him in Boiler.
Yeah, this is looking like it could be a fantastic response from RBG. Get themselves a huge financial boost, not lose potentially any players. And unless Pone alone somehow going to kill someone while on 1 HP and being pre-fired, that is going to be the case. So a big boost. They're even going to retrieve themselves an extra few AKs. And well, if anything, unless they don't want that secondary AWP, this is basically as good as a buy as they're going to get. So now needs to be the start of them building something. Because if you look at the other side, I think we're about to see a change of pace. RCF not investing into the AWP. He had the finances to do so. And while if there isn't any sort of response here again from RBG, they could be meeting the same fate as the last map.
Oh, the only response, though, is RCF putting his AK to use with 2 kills. And with those 2 frags, not only is it an AWP traded up, but additionally the B site is falling. And look at that aggression from RCF. And you can't fault him. He absolutely obliterated RBG in the first map. And he wants to continue that pace and show it wasn't a fluke. He ended with over 30 kills. He hasn't quite had the same level of impact early on in this map, but that round is all him.
This looks like it's taken straight out of the playbook of Art. Like, that's one of the I'm better than you rounds and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's got to be so painful if you're on the other side. Like, nothing he necessarily did there would be like considered, oh, this is really intelligent Counter-Strike. Like, he pushed through a smoke, he got 2 headshots spraying around corners, and then he ran in and killed a 3rd player with an AWP. That is just ridiculous individual skill, and he got the timing spot on. So huge round from RCF, but if you're on the other side, RBG, you got to be so frustrated by plays like this, because these are the sort of rounds that you've lost through basically just one man destroying you.
So can they bounce back after being hammered by RCF? Ben's taking a bit of damage early on, a lot of utility. 3 players over on Banana. Now, they have secured Banana control, but it seems as though High Coast are more interested towards the middle side of the map. So smoke down. So much utility. Look at the lack of utility left here, Tom. Like, you've thrown nearly everything on the CT side. There's still 1:20 to go, and you're not even sticking in Banana with 2 players. They have 1 smoke and 3 flashes with 1:15 left on the clock.
Yeah, it looks like one of those rounds where it looked like the utility they threw was to take control, but then they haven't actually taken any control. In fact, this is almost as little control as you could have. The only thing is that little bit of deep Banana from Chop. And, well, you could pretty much have that from the very beginning of the round. Other than that, it's very, very passive on the other side of the map. And Aiko's short. It's not necessarily going to be an easy round or an easy take, but when your opponents have no utility, if the bomb even goes down here, you have to think it's done.
Precisely. Yep, that's it. And they can't stall any longer. It's going to have to be well-placed flash in the hands of Hext, who's stuck in library. 30 seconds, though. High Coast haven't been too aggressive. Have been taking their sweet time. 23 seconds. Wiz taking a couple shots through the smoke. Nothing sticks. Wolfie now will be popping up from mini pit, getting 1, but traded back straight away. It's a 3-for-1 trade. In a second, High Coast again maintain control. Rip the round away from RBG. The bomb plant will be coming down, and the AWP of Wiz has to cross to save this AWP here, and he misses his shot. He's punished. In fact, I think he may have caught Boo, but it was through the wall and only in his shin. So 23 damage inflicted for the AWP lost, and it's not as if RBG have a ton of utility on Chop to save this M4 or a ton of cash, indeed, to buy into the next round. They're in terrible trouble here. 7-2 deficit already, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better.
They seem to be struggling. Again, like the early use of utility left them with very little, but even then, you had a 3-man crossfire on the site that basically got nothing. Well, High Coast, it does seem like they've just come in from the last map still off the same momentum and just look by far the better team. Like, we expected them to look decent. Like, we know some of the names on their roster. We've seen some of these players perform before, RCF being one of them, Modem as well, bringing that extra bit of experience from the tier 1 of Counter-Strike. But even still, like, after the performance yesterday, we sort of called into question how they'd perform here. While map 1, sure, the scoreline looks at least okay. It wasn't that close. Map 2, it's getting in that bracket as well. Now, Chopper's actually, look at what he's having to do. He's having to watch the corner of the smoke, and there is a player there. The problem is he's not getting out of there alive. That is such a one-and-done spot, unless there's a huge slip-up. Come on, I feel like the only slip-up that there can be is that they're executing without the bomb.
Yeah, it's back at the T steps. They have to go back and pick that one up. They at least get the opening pick onto Walcon. There's still plenty of time, so it's a bit rough. They're going to have to take a few more seconds to make sure that none of the CTs push down second mid and maybe has their eyes on the bomb. And Hext, try as he may through the window, nothing is sticking. Another smoke has been put down onto coffins. And Hext will probably take another couple of shots through there, I'd imagine, momentarily. Still not really landing anything. Bomb's going to start to get planted. Decent damage with the grenades. Right idea, but it's just the scout, not the AWP, so won't be getting anything done. And eventually, they'll start firing back, Hext. And their guns hit way harder than yours do. High Coast looking good for an 8-2. And maybe Wolfie can make this a little bit more costly, but you look at the overall money on High Coast, and they don't really care.
Oh, he's going to get knifed. He's going to get knifed. No! Oh, he even did the left click. RCF, you're an evil man. Like, I cannot get behind that. It's the little left click just to let him know you're there. That's evil. And then the thing is as well, like, I quite like the small, like, change in their play. So they made the mistake of leaving the bomb. Obviously a bit of a problem. But what they then do is realizing that no one's pushed down the bottom of mid, RCF actually goes all the way through, back around their spawn and comes up behind them. And that's why he gets the knife kill. He was basically the security just in case anything went wrong. And sure, it wasn't in a round where it necessarily mattered. Maybe could have backfired if they were saving something. There's a nice little adaptation when, okay, we've made a little bit of a mistake, but the information we found off of it actually benefits our play.
Yeah, exactly. It's turning a mistake into an advantage. And it's great that High Coast had the clarity to make that a reality. And sure, RBG haven't exactly been doing themselves any favors on the map. But High Coast have looked a step above what we saw yesterday, I think it's safe to say, in both of their performances thus far. Unless RBG can start to somewhat emulate from overpass, but this time stick the landing fully for the comeback, it's looking like they are facing the very real possibility of being eliminated from DreamHack 44 pretty soon. Motum gets the 1-4 and trade out with Boo, although he does take a lot of damage, so Wallclaw's done a good job of not just holding his position, but also making it a costly one for High Coast. But they still have Ben, who's the ace up the sleeve, the lurker, that can maybe pincer in and deal with some of these wraparound players.
Start faking this out. The timing almost works out for Ben, but he's not going to get the kill. And now they don't actually rotate. They're waiting patiently for the remaining players to try and wrap around. Oh, it's a nice pre-fire, but not quite landing the shots. And Hex is still standing. They haven't checked the corner as well. Maybe only expecting one player to be here at this point. But lightning fast is RCF, and that's enough to bring things back to possible rounds. But unfortunately for him, Chop is fast on the rotation.
RBG have enough to replenish their fallen weapons, but so do High Coast. And regardless of what happens from this point forward, of course, they will lead going through into that second half. Anything at this point is a nice juicy bonus on top. And RBG are only one loss away from being full on reset again. So we're not going to have all of that heavy investment in terms of grenades being tossed in on Banana with 3 players, just the 2 of them. They have got decent control thus far with incendiaries and smokes being tossed out, but eventually they're going to have to pull a plug, flash behind it. HE has also been tossed in, and Wolfie was thinking about taking some control over apps, but second guesses himself and pulls back.
RCF, again, looking to lead the charge. He's been able to get a lot done, especially on the T side of this map. Of course, some of that was with the AK. In fact, one of the rounds which he won almost individually was purely based off the AK and a retrieved AWP later on. I'm not the biggest fan of the positioning of the CTs on B. We're going to see now the wraparound from Walker to at least take a bit more control, but definitely a not ideal crossfire. I guess he went over there to try and get the boost into play. Personally, I'd rather see the SMG boosted up because it's going to be a bit of a rough spot to try and get back from. And Walco now kind of stuck on the side. Isolated, he does at least take one. That's something additional to be had. And Chop still in position, but isolated by the Molotov. With Pone alone so low, this is a real chance for RBG.
Especially that they have an incendiary and a HE that could finish off one of these players. They've also got a smoke on Wolfie, but he has 4 of the 5 bits of utility. If he goes down without throwing them, that could be huge. And RCF just gets aggressive, decides to go for that peak. This is where aggression's really important. You need the X factor to try and win you these kind of rounds, and he is that. He is the loose cannon, and he is firing off. The artillery hits time and time again, and High Coast suddenly have the advantage. RCF has finally fallen down, but he's done enough, surely done enough to secure this round as Motum and Pone alone clean it up. But that is what you want from a player like RCF, Tom. That ability to flip the kill switch and to get aggressive and to get dirty.
The thing is that, have you seen, there's sort of like those memes of like, it gives you like the options of like, oh, what are they going to do next? And the thing they do next is always so ridiculous that you never could have seen it coming. I couldn't have predicted him doing that ever. Like jumping across, killing the guy further away. There's an AWP holding that angle, by the way, and then jumping up on coffins and killing a second player as well. Like, he definitely is the X factor. Pone alone's been performing incredibly well, but it's just the manner in which RCF handles himself. We've seen crazy AWP kills, AK entry rounds, and also a knife like thrown into the mix as well. And definitely one of the main reasons that they're currently 9-3. Wow, it's not getting any better. Pistols is all they'll have this round. A chance maybe, but Pwn alone just looking to clean things up a bit. He's had some high impact rounds himself, of course. The ace with the Tech 9 started this all off, but he will actually lose his life, and that's an AK for Hext at least.
As a result, though, they have bypassed Hext and taken arches, and they're actually wrapping around. Ben is moving through the CT spawn. A bit of a rough spray from Boo, and Motum decides better of pushing in. And now Hex has actually caught Ben in the back. He's had so much impact in this round, wasn't anticipating RCF to be following in. They assumed that was a full-on B hit. And RCF now has the wherewithal to realize they're probably pushing up from middle. Flick is good. He saw the second player. Wolko's position is known. And on 32 HP, if he comes around the corner, he's likely a dead man. And RCF will reap the frag and reap a 10th round for High Coast Esports.
He's doing very well at predicting almost every single move of his opponents. And, well, considering he had, at least in the first few rounds, a relatively slow start to this, even switching up to the rifle because things weren't working. AWP now back in his hands, and, again, back to running riot. Every single round just seems to be dominant, and we're looking at a 10-3 situation. Again, a stellar first half coming out from High Coast, and all of this is on the T-side. Wiz, he's been having a rough time, and it's only getting worse. Walking into the pallet instead of back to safety, and oh, this leaves actually one player completely isolated. Hex, he at least gets a kill. If he gets anything more, that'll be a miracle, but in fact, it's RCF to trade. They've managed to at least reclaim control of Arch, but they've still got to reclaim the whole of the site.
More grenades will be finding their way to adversaries. There's a molly and a flash. A molly gets tossed from Pwn alone. They don't have a smoke to cordon off this area, but the flash will be good enough for now. Actually forces the CTs to smoke their way in.
What?
RCF is playing up close with the AWP. Decides to piece towards his left-hand side. He can hear footsteps. He can hear all of the enemies moving in, but he's gone down. Motum tries to go for the spray, but it's not quite good enough. And RBG steals a round out of High Coast's pocket.
Who does that? Who plays an AWP in the smoke rather than from pit? The man's insane. That's such a ridiculous risk, and he's actually one of the players to get a kill in that position, but hey, we'll move on. RBG have found themselves around. I like the retaking of Arch control as well. Like, if they'd lost that completely, that really would have been almost a save situation, and now maybe the win back in their sails. They're going to try and dominate Banana. Deep control taken. Boo battling for it, but, well, there's a bigger problem. Pwn alone again. I feel like in the apartments, he's been winning the majority of these duels. Wiz as well. I think this is a game to forget for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm totally on board. I think, honestly, Overpass he kind of came alive in that second half, but first half he was absent. The same could be said here. Pwn alone switching on low HP to the AWP. Meanwhile, Chop makes short work of RCF, so that X Factor has been momentarily dulled down, and indeed will do so for the rest of this half, as it is the last round of first half action here. This puts a lot more pressure on Wolko, though. Tommy's all alone on B site.
It's a scenario where even 2 might not be enough, and he's gone anti-flash. Actually, Pwn alone may have just blinded his teammates. He's helped out a little bit, and that will gain them at least a couple of rounds towards the end. A chance maybe for RBG, but they need an impressive T-side if they're going to bring this home. Join us after the break.
A war. Yeah, it kinda took a while. When they tell me I should stay, I just jump with a smile. Yeah, it's hard until you notice. Everybody about that moment when the sun comes up and I look around. I can feel that love, I can hear the sound. Listen up. They're never gonna hold me down. I'm higher than the ceiling now, and then I need to worry about, 'cause I got no problems. I know it's gonna be alright. It's getting better every time. Nobody's gonna kill my vibe, 'cause I got no problems, problems. 'Cause I got no problems, problems. 'Cause I got no problems, problems. Do you feel a little down? Say it. No problems. Let you in, but you out. Sing it. No problems. They're never gonna hold me down. I'm higher than the ceiling now. Have none I need to worry about, 'cause I got no problems. They're never gonna hold me down. I'm higher than the ceiling now. Have none I need to worry about, 'cause I got no problems. I know it's gonna be alright. It's getting better every time. Nobody's gonna kill my vibe, 'cause I got no problems, problems.
Sunsets, high rise, you know you're on the floor, diamonds, good light, walking the golden door. Everybody knows that you want it more, more. Ice cold to the touch, we're gonna burn it down. Bodies so hot until we hit the ground. Everybody knows that you want it more, more. Say it's not my fault. I don't wanna talk about it, not tonight. No, you probably think about it, but it's fine. Playing all the same, you know there's no amount, 'cause money makes the world go round. I don't see a problem till it makes me sick. Dollars by the minutes, I'ma spend it quick.
Well, definitely a little closer than what we saw in the first half of map 1, but still High Coast look pretty damn good. At least a little bit of a resurgence from RBG towards the latter stages of the half, but again, we go on to, well, their T side, which was definitely poor in the last map, and we have to wait and see if they have the same level of tenacity to try and turn this around.
Yeah, plus we get to see if High Coast have worked on their CT side and what they've maybe done to fill in some of the gaps that were very apparent yesterday. Boo takes the head off Chop instantly with a cheeky apps peek onto Bridge. That is going to send the shockwave down RBG, because not only is it the first pick, but additionally it's going to falter their push. And there's a 4-player stack on middle. They've got this double stack crossfire in effect. So if RBG eventually come through middle, it is going to be a massacre. This will mean that Ben is all alone on B site, however, but the bomb is now moving up mid. RBG may be about to walk into the trap.
This would be a pretty big problem. Now, they have spotted a couple of players peeking. The flashbang actually not going to find anything, and in fact, it's Hex to get the kill. Pressure also being put onto the B side, but look at the bomb. They've tried to sell this as a bit of a fake, and it might have actually worked. Although they should hear the footsteps jumping down. This is the kill that matters, and Boo is just dominating. A clinical pistol from him. 4 kills to maybe even put this game to bed.
The truly terrifying thing about High Coast is over the last 2 days, we have seen every single player on this roster just go huge. Like they seem to have ability on all 5 players. We've seen Ben have huge performances. Bo has been having massive performances. Pone alone in the first half was absolutely god tier. And of course, RCF has just been consistently ridiculous. And you can't really overshadow Motum. This guy is so very good. So for me, I'm looking at this High Coast team and I'm thinking, I can't really see where RBG factor in, where they find a weakness. How can they exploit and find that gap in the armor to really bring this back when they're against a team that feels like they're firing on all cylinders?
I think that's the weakness, though. I think it's when things slow down and when the audacious plays that High Coast make don't work, that's when we start to see the chinks in the armor a little bit. But for now, at least, they've just been rolling them. They haven't stopped. They've been going down the mountain pretty much the whole time. And sure, a blip here and there, but never to a point where it mattered. Boo almost caught out a little bit, and I think Wolfie knows that very nearly got away with that one. But either way, 12-5. The eco was taken just to get these rifles in play, but this is a crucial round, especially when you look at what's on the other side. Sure, a hell of a lot of utility, but realistically, 4 SMGs. So if RBG lose this round, they're going to hand over every single gun they have and potentially end the map.
Yeah, this is a double-edged sword. This is a bonus from High Coast, but the actual cost is so high if RBG are unsuccessful, especially if they get battered and there's like 3 or 4 players left alive. So they're going to be taking the initiative here, playing aggressively, and Hex holding on T-steps, takes 50% of his HP, but he does deal a fatal blow to RCF. So that's a great start, at least to the round.
With a lot of utility expended to try and garner this control as well, and Banana, to lose a player so early on, sure, it was a risk they knew they were taking, but not going to help them out. Actually, with the extra player rotated into the B site and even another smoke going down, the players on A shouldn't really stand much of a chance. The main thing, though, is the fact that there's the one rifle. And Boo, over the last couple of rounds, has been slaughtering anyone that goes into his path. So I feel like he's going to have to at least get 2, maybe even 3 kills for them to stand a chance here.
Certainly feels that way. Needs to put that firepower down range and to connect some headshots. Now, RBG have been taking their sweet time. We're getting towards 30 seconds. Just shy of half a minute now. And a smoke into pit, a forward boat. More opportunities to peek back in. Damage to Hex. Pop flash over the side of the apps. And Motum with the UMP up close could do some real damage here if he goes unchecked. And Boo has the cross as well. It's a nightmare. It's a collapse and 3 players stay alive. And that worst case scenario, the nightmare situation we discussed before, Tom, about those AKs trading hands, it's come to fruition.
Yeah, that is surprising. I thought maybe Boo would have to do even more than he did, but the fact is they just don't clear Motum, and because they haven't really isolated the player in pit, it just ends up as this almost easy crossfire with players having to switch between the two to try and at least clear one of them and end up basically doing neither. That looked like almost indecisiveness. Well, RCF, he is going to get punished. Been a couple of rounds now that his aggression hasn't really gone too well, and I think they're a little bit wary about the weapon. Oh, I thought for a second Walko would actually go hunting, but Boo's actually done a good job to make sure they're not going to retrieve the AWP for now, but then he loses his life as well. And Motum is something I mentioned before. A lot of these situations he tries to be the hero and it ends up just falling apart, being picked by one by one. And Marben, it's just got to save.
And this harkens back to a point that you raised before about RCF and maybe some of the weaknesses that can be exploited from High Coast, is if they do go for these aggressive kind of plays and they are going for these, I don't want to say disrespectful plays. He's smiling, he's drinking, he's having a good old time. But if they don't work, then it does put High Coast into these awkward kind of scenarios. And you said it yourself, Motum goes in for a peek by himself, tries to be the hero, and it just puts them in an even deeper ditch. However, of course, there's still 7 rounds in the lead, and they're still looking good. These are kind of problems, like, further down in the tournament may very well cost them, assuming they do win from this position.
I think they already did. That's the thing, like, obviously we want to talk about what's coming up next for them already, but when we look back at the first series they played in this tournament, there were moments like that where it was like a 3v3 and they sort of give them up because somebody's trying to bring back the round. And it's positions like this, like, I don't know what is expecting to be achieved. I guess that's the way I have to look at it. Like, if you know there's going to be 2, 3, maybe even 4 players looking to try and hold on to that position, unless they make a severe error, the chances of you getting more than 1 kill there are really slim. Even 2, and even then it's still not really worth it because that's another gun on the deck. So expecting an awful lot, not really happening. Now we're going to get the double AWP invested into RCF. That is now 3 rounds in a row. that he has died in an aggressive position and not been able to retreat. Modem, it's the same again. He's going to try and get into the site and fight this on his own. Ben's done a great job on the other side of the map to bring it into a 3v3, but instantly with Modem not getting anything, round looks dumb, but it seems like they're still going to try and fight for this. And, Wolfie, same angle, same result, couple of kills.
He's looking for the shades. He's got the shades.
Oh,
it's all over, High Coast. Keep them on. For the rest of the game, Wolfie, please, just keep them on. No, don't take them off. Oh, come on.
Just... Oh, God. Well, I'm going to try and move on from that. This round, at least. Not really anything invested. But, yeah, last round in particular was just aggressive peak after aggressive peak. This round, you can kind of forgive it a little bit more, although it is a bit disjointed. It's made things fairly easy for the T's to clean up. It doesn't look like they're going to lose a single player. I almost find it somewhat funny that RCF is aggressive every single round except for the one where they have pistols.
That's true. That is actually true. The most passive player with the pistols. Have an open your hands. Yeah, I'm pushing them by myself, lads. Keep up.
Don't want to lose my P250.
Doesn't even have an open this round, though. He's got an M4 instead.
Where's he pushing this time? That's the question. He definitely not been anywhere near as successful in the second half. The first round he pushed was with an SMG, but after that, much more costly situations. I do think that is an element of this roster, though, that you know that he's going to be that loose cannon, that sort of JW-esque style, where it was almost like, okay, he would do something ludicrous to almost try and just put people off, like make them have to hold angles that they never would have been expecting. Like even now, look, they're watching the bottom of apps in case he comes swinging. They are ready for everything, but it also wastes a lot of time and means that if he's continuously switching things up, it can be quite rough. And again, Vince, they got this 4-man stack.
Oh, the double spray comes into effect, and it's looking good for High Coast before Wiz does at least get one. Maybe a parting gift, though. Flashbang in the eyes of Ben, but they line up, and it's a double spray. And Hext is on the wrong side of the smoke. The only saving grace is he has the bomb, and he has enough time to hit B. And this could effectively be a 1 versus 1, and Potent Lone only has a FAMAS. So if he was to hit B right now, there is a way back into this round and potentially success behind it. But of course, it's way easier said than done because he doesn't know that this is the fact, and he still has to check all of his angles. In doing so, he may very well give his back up towards CT, and it could be a free frag from Pwn alone, and it's looking more and more likely that will be the case. 14-8 now. And you know what RCF kind of reminds me of? Although, obviously, he doesn't necessarily AWP on this particular team, but Madden. That kind of player that can just kind of create chaos out of nothing, but sometimes it can be his undoing as well.
Yeah, I can definitely see the comparisons. I think it's like watching Madden on Nuke. It's like the guy's going to try and run into vent most rounds, and if you don't stop him, you'll lose. Like that's it. It becomes a part of your game where it's like, okay, he's going to do it again, but we have to try and deny him. And I feel like that's the case here. It's like part of RBG's game plan has become trying to work out what he's going to do next. And the fact is, the second you start thinking like that, you've already lost. Like, that's it. That's over. The second you start trying to counter someone like him, who just seems to be so good at predicting what the opposition are going to be doing, that's already the game over. Now, Pwn alone, he's completely isolated here. RCF looked like he wanted to try and take the fight, but in fact, the Molotov falling, it's arguable whether it saved him or his opponent. A second player in pit might be a bit of a surprise, but this is just a fake to the execution. RCF left completely blind, manages to cross, and Ben actually holds on alongside him somehow. This has been brought back down to just Wowco alone. He's going to fall back, but the problem is the bomb's dropped.
Yeah, no bomb. And 3 HP. And because of this stalling, he's allowed Motum to get into position. And they have grenades. Molly, flashbang, dead. 15-8 the score, 7 match points, 7 elimination points on the line for RBG. They will have enough to supply a goodbye here. But they've got to make it work, Tom. There is no more room for error. Their last lifeline has been used up.
That was a 2v4 on that bomb site. They did everything right. That's the thing that's irritating, is in terms of the actual take, the picks that they found, the pushing on the other side of the map to hold off rotations. Up until that point, everything was perfect, and then just unable to clear those two players. Even RCF being saved, I guess, by the fact that he was able to cross while blind, and then managing to get a multi-frag. Ben, well, he is left completely blind this time. Nothing he can do. Incendiary will go down from Pwn alone, and again, it's another opener. It's another good start for RBG. But is there going to be any sort of conversion? Well, I'm not sure.
Peeking in is RCF. This is a position that gets Molotov and Flash pretty often, but he may get away with it. Actually tags Hex, but it was through the wall. Unfortunate not to get the kill, honestly. And that's the other side of the coin. Sometimes that aggression won't pay off. Smoke right behind it, though. And RBG, although they are in a commanding position, it's still not quite across the finish line for this round just yet. They can't assume that they have this one done.
Excuse me? Oh, I've heard that Mr. Clean Lock has come back. Maybe he's going to be checking that one out. That was it. Interesting spray. Oh, Pwn alone. No chance in this round. And well, it seems like RGB this... Oh, I've finally said it. I was doing so well to say RBG this whole time. I probably said it and not realized before, but it finally came out. Red, green, blue.
It's all right, Tom. We'll let you off. It's what, 4:30 there in the morning?
Yeah, thereabouts. Thereabouts. I'm disappointed in myself. So close. 15 rounds on the board. If the next round's the last round, I'll be a little bit disappointed that I didn't make it the whole way, but at least I didn't call them RPG.
Well, the economy on High Coast is actually in pretty dire straits. With the saved AK, they have some options, and 1,400 for Pwn alone. I wonder if that will be the green light to force buy behind this AK. Otherwise, they could be eyeing up a very poor buy into the next round, so be curious to see what High Coast go for here.
Yeah, methodical stuff. Clearing the angles, making sure that there was no real chance for any aggression, and I think they've made a very late decision. In fact, Morton was already on his way to the A site, had to go back and actually purchase. Maybe having a late read into the economy. I do think that this is the right decision. Financially, it wouldn't make much sense unless you're just going to save up and not buy in the next round anyway, which seems a little bit pointless because they have been able to do quite a lot, especially with Boo having an AK. On this CT side, I would say he's probably been their best player, with RCF and Pwn alone slowing down just a little bit. Oh, Boo. There is the free kill over the top of the boost. Not going to be a response either, but not a bad start.
This is a boost they used a lot yesterday as well, but it was typically RCF was being boosted up with the AWP, and it had quite a bit of success. They always had that one up the sleeve.
What is this? The bait and switch. That's what they're hoping for at least, but fact is, it does look like we're going to settle on some sort of B-site hit. And again, it looks like they've got two players in similar situations, although the rotation from Ben might be a bit of a misread. Now, bear in mind, Pwn alone has no utility, so he can't slow them down. He can't throw a flash or a smoke or anything. They've just gambled here, and I think they've got it completely wrong. Unfortunately, he's going to be completely alone, and Ben, unless he hits something through this smoke or Pwn alone does something incredible, it's over.
Yeah, I think this could also act as the classic sort of bait and switch. You can see Ben shaking his head, feeling pretty hard done by that they made that misread. I'm a bit surprised that the Boo and the rest of the troops are going in for this one, although it is pretty low on time, and Ben was so close from denying that bomb plant. That could have been the round. That actually could have been it over and done with. The entire game could have just hinged on that moment. And the reason I'm a bit surprised is because this AK would have been really useful into the next round. Remember, they did go in for a full-on purchase here. So High Coast, maybe if they can save in the hands of Motton, it'll be a worthwhile endeavor. But that is going to be RBG onto 10 rounds now. But again, you go back to that Ben peak. That was so close from winning this match.
Yeah, one bullet. I think there was about, what, 8 seconds left. There would have been a scramble to retrieve the bomb, and then you would have had the cavalry arriving to try and deny it a second time. So, yeah, that was RBG's tournament existence flashing before their eyes, but they've got through it. They've been resuscitated. And there's not really much into this round at all. I would even say that Boo might not want to invest anything just to make sure that they can get an AWP going forward, although he does end up buying the Kevlar. Maybe something they're going to have to go and miss on an RCF. He's bought a Zeus. Now, he's given us most things in this game. AWP kills, AK entries, a knife kill. He hasn't got a Zeus yet, so even Joe Beretta kills as well. Like, there's not many people who can say that they donned all of those in one map. So I'm hoping for something brilliant here.
Well, Boo is going to be the first point of contention, it feels, in apps. RCF, it's quite interesting. With that Zeus, you expect him to be up playing in apps instead of maybe Boo here. But instead it will be Boo who gets one. When he's hoping to try and get a little bit more from that encounter. And RCF round the corner actually nails Wolfie with the Zeus. I don't think it means a great deal in terms of how the round will be coming down.
That's to be.
But yeah, for entertainment value, thank you very much, RCF. We really do appreciate that. 3-on-3 retake. Why not throw these USPs into the mix? There's also an AK behind it and a smoke, but no kits. So if Motum can get in amongst the action here, maybe this round isn't over just yet.
He needs a distraction. He needs somebody to basically pull these players out of their initial positions, and the fact is he doesn't have a kit. So winning this round is basically out the window, especially with RBG probably on edge after losing a player to a Deagle. Are they going to retrieve? Oh, they're going to almost retrieve. And I'm not sure if there's any value in Modern going for this at all. Seemed a bit pointless.
I think the idea is once they saw the AK on the balcony, they wanted to save two. When he died on the balcony, he's almost thinking like, maybe I can do enough damage to kill them to the bomb. But it's like they can afford next round regardless, and the AK is going to be way more useful in your hands than theirs. So yeah, I'm a bit perplexed at that one as well, honestly, Tom, because you look at their buy here, they could have had a better buy, and I think they could actually dropped an AWP from Motum had he survived that round. So it's a bit of a head scratch, but 15-11, RBG now into close enough proximity where I think it's safe to say I'm beginning to believe this comeback is possible.
I said it in the Liquid game. My magic number's always been 11. They're at 11 now. Boo. He's doing well in this CT side of step, but he drops back down. It's Motum to actually find the trade, and RCF still here, but it's a wild spray. A whiff, you could say, as it leaves just 2 players remaining. They've got a lot of utility, but 2v3 retake, I don't see it happening. Chop's done fantastic in this round as well. We're going to push into position to finally get that bomb down, but it does look like they're still going to give this a go. A deep smoke thrown in to try and garner an extra bit of control, and they do still have a couple of incendiaries.
Yeah, that's the ace up the sleeve, and I feel like they will have a good read that Chop is low. It was a labored spray, but he did get enough bullets down onto him to make a real go of this one. Now, the first shot's missed. Incendiary will be firing its way across there. Wiz is missing too many shots. He's putting more pressure on his teammates. They're going to push into the site, but it's a lockdown from Chop and Walcott. And High Coast, who do go in for that retake late on, don't have any surplus cash to spend now. They will have no primary weapons, just Eagles and some grenades alongside it. But that started so well, and it was that spray that we saw from RCF towards the pit that really cost them dearly, because if RCF comes out in that trade, that's a 2v3 in favor of High Coast at that point, with the T's having to burst out through pit and to try and engulf the site. So that was a really important moment.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where you almost have to drag it back and go, do I think he gets that kill if he has an AWP? Yes. Now, do I also think he would be on the site if he had an AWP? No, he probably would have died in apps at the beginning of the round, but that's not the point. I can theorize about the one time maybe he decided not to push. Obviously, in this round, again, not really much being invested at all. A few pistols, Boo playing exactly the same angle. Now, there's a part of me that thinks, okay, that they're almost definitely going to check it because he was there before. But there's also the small hesitation in my mind that thinks, well, maybe because he played that exact position before, they'd think he'd never be silly enough to do it again.
In come RBG, already up through middle. Boo, same position we saw a couple rounds ago with a Deagle. Doubt it'll be the same outcome. Last time it was a 1-1 trade. Now, actually, he's about to get pushed from top. The smoke's going to give his position away, but he still takes his head clean off. And now RCF, he may go unchecked because there's so many people, so many bodies looking towards Boo. And in doing so, RCF can now tee off. Boo's still alive. He's got it for a third. And what an awful way to lose the game from RBG. After battling back, you lose to effectively